Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control. Heat and humidity can lead to mold and mildew in your home's ventilation ducts. Heat and humidity can damage the flooring in your home. So call Southeast Termite and Pest Control and talk to them about their crawl space encapsulation. It seals and protects below your home, which in turn protects your living space. Southeast Termite and Pest Control, you can read all about it at southeasttermite.com. All right, Joe Milton this week had a chat with Tyler and Will over on 99.1 The Sports Animal, and he said this: when I got hurt, I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, man, am I good enough for this game? I doubted myself for like a week. I was in a quarterback room slouched for like a week. I was going through that phase like, man, I don't know if I want to be here. I probably just want to go home. But I went back home after that week, and I looked myself in the mirror again. I was like, man, God gave you 6'5" height, 235 pounds of weight, a lot of muscle. You can throw the ball very far. You're accurate. You can run. You know how to talk to people. You know how to lead. You know how to win football games, so why not go back out there and compete to your highest level? So I looked at that, and I made it happen. And, guys, now he was one of the most hyped guys at SEC Media Days. He is one of these stories. Granted, big chunk of that is because he can throw it to the moon and back. He's got a huge arm. We all know that. He's got an incredible physique. But it's also the story of a guy who's trying to make the third time the charm. He had the shot at Michigan. It didn't work. He had the shot here. It didn't work. He's trying to make good on it. If he does, it's going to be one of those guys that, you know, he was set to take the elevator, but the elevator was broken. He had to take the stairs. If he makes this work, he will have gone about it the hard way. So he's getting a ton of hype. And he's saying all the right things, and it sounds like he learned a lot as a backup quarterback, certainly studying and becoming close friends with Hendon Hooker. But I was trying to remember the last time Tennessee has had a guy get this much preseason hype. And I had to go back a long ways in my thinking. Chuck, you got any ideas here in terms of?
Well, I mean, I was starting to kind of think the same way. I mean, it wasn't Hendon Hooker, right? And then I was going back to Peyton Manning. And then I'm thinking preseason, and I think what's changed is all of the social media and having something go viral.
Yeah, like the Manning Academy pass.
Yes, and it's not the hype that Tennessee produces. It's just the hype on social media that everything just takes off. And then you get him in front of the crowd, and you see the charisma, and you see the way he handles himself. So, yeah, I mean, I can't think of anybody that would have had as much or more hype than he has so far.
Because it's got to be a quarterback. I mean, Eric Berry was a tremendous player, but I'm like Chuck, I think you might have to, in terms of a national eyeball kind of a thing, he is set with that arm to be in every highlight reel. If he lives up to his talent, ESPN's going to be all over the guy because of that cannon. I think you got to go back to Manning. Am I right? Is there somebody I'm forgetting?
Well, here's the way I look at that.
Yeah.
If you go by preseason honors, it's no more than Hooker.
Right.
Because Hooker was all SEC. Hooker was a preseason Heisman Trophy candidate, top 12. Milton's not. If you go wow factor,
buzz factor, yeah,
you
buzz.
got to go back to Manning.
Right.
So to distinguish the two, I have people talking about when I was in Nashville, I don't miss Joe Milton's warm-up session because I want to see how far he can throw it. I don't want to miss him doing backflips. I don't want to miss him throwing it between 75 and 95 yards.
Yeah, he claims 95, but all evidence is more to like 70, 75, yeah.
And then you got Cole Kubelik, though I question it, saying he's the most talented quarterback on the planet. Now, there's pretty good quarterback with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
There's good guys in the NFL, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, you didn't hear that about Manning even.
Yeah.
So when you start talking about the wow factor, about the appeal, about people wanting to see what this – he's a guy that you would pay admission to go watch, right? So from that perspective, I would go back to Manning.
I look at this kind of two different ways. As the best player, I think I would go back to maybe Josh Dobbs. I think Josh Dobbs was seen by most people as a better player than even Joe Milton right now.
I'm just talking about hype and buzz.
But yes, but as far as the attention, the hype, it's almost like kind of a circus freak factor though, because it's about the strong arm. You know, it's not about how good of a quarterback they think he is yet. I think they can get there this year, but I still think a lot of people think KJ Jefferson's better, Spencer Rattler's better. I just think they see the strong arm and they like the story, like you said. So I think there is some appeal to just the story and his arm. But as a quarterback, I think Hendon Hooker and Josh Dobbs were arguably higher regarded as a quarterback than Joe Milton is now.
Oh, and certainly more proven going into the last year. They had more behind them than he does. But I just, in terms of
the hype,
just pure hype, buzz. I think that he may be up there in an area we haven't seen in a while. I mean, you've had other all SEC quarterbacks here that didn't get this. Well, no one was saying he's the most talented quarterback on the planet about Casey Clausen or Eric Ainge or some of their Dobbs or Hooker or any of these other guys. That's a unique thing.
Watch what happens in the Virginia game if he throws like an 80-yard touchdown pass. Not all of it in the air, of course, but if he comes out and has a wow game like that, I think the ratings for that game could be pretty good because I think people will watch to see what Joe Milton does.
Yeah.
To that point, Joe, I heard some talk this week. Some people think Joe Milton's already a second-round pick on some NFL teams' boards, and that's
I heard him higher than that. I heard somebody saying top 10.
And that's without accomplishing
round.
a thing this year, and not even a full season as a starting quarterback yet in his college career. So if he has a good year,
I mean, we had this conversation with David Ubben. How much better is Anthony Richardson when he was drafted by the coach than Joe Milton is?
Right.
Yeah. All right, we're going to break down recruiting in a second, but I first want to point out there, if you want to vote on the poll, I'm surprised everybody's kind of keeping it the same. Win the SEC East title, only 11% of you say that. 53% say you expect them to reach another New Year's Six bowl. That is going to tie into a question we got later. And then 36% of you, which is higher than I would have thought, saying you expect Tennessee to take a small step back. So continue to vote in our poll if you like. When we come back, however, as I just teased, it's a big week for the Volunteers. 2 blue chippers in the hall. We'll break that down with Ryan Callahan. We'll also take a look position by position. Are they doing enough on defense? I've got a nitpick. So we'll come on back next.